Welcome to the Amazon Legends podcast, where we have real stories about making it big on Amazon. Our guests are CEOs of large companies and entrepreneurs who became powerful sellers, also experts specializing in helping sellers, and both former and current Amazon employees who will give us an insight from behind the scenes. Here's your host, Nick Urison.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Amazon Legends. My next guest today has been in e-commerce advertising for almost 2 decades with AI since AI has been around, has become widely used. So I guess even though AI is new, you could consider him an AI veteran at this point because of the way he does it. He is the founder and CEO of AIHello.com, a professional chess player, taking his knowledge to a different level. And without further ado, so meet my guest, Ganesh Krishnan. Welcome to the show, Ganesh.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for the amazing introduction. I feel proud of myself.
So when Amazon started, it was all about selling products. If you go way back, they were selling books and then they started selling other stuff, but Amazon was selling it. And the next thing they did was they started enabling these third-party sellers to sell products. And then advertising came in. So advertising became this complex thing, per click, the campaign, the match and auto match and blah, blah, blah. Plus things are changing all the time. So it's a very complex thing that took a different kind of talent to manage it. So you have a totally different approach to this. So tell us what that is.
Right. So I think first off, advertising is a natural progression for most of these companies. Actually, that's an easy way to make money. So if there's any SaaS company that comes across, the first thing they look for is how can we monetize this, and it eventually leads into ads. What Amazon is realizing over time is that it's making much more money by not selling product, by advertising, than by selling the product. So the e-commerce and the retail is supposed to be kind of is a sweet thing, but the whole cake, the base of it is advertising. Everything is advertising. The money comes from advertising, and it's the fastest growing segment among Amazon. Is even surpassing AWS. And you bring up an interesting thing, what do you think about how smart or how does it have to be? So ads doesn't have to be very smart. At the end of the day, it's just a very dumb auctioning machine. People, online, they come up with, complex formula, how to set it up. Really in-depth, Excel sheet for the CPC, for the bid. And it's like, you don't have to do all of it. Ads is just a basic auctioning system. Spend all your time and money on building business plans, on what you want to do, and let the experts handle that.
So what I'm hearing from you is really 2 things. First of all, you say Amazon makes more money on advertising than selling products.
Yes.
And this is after AWS. Of course, AWS is a platform they built. I heard Jeff Bezos talk about the fact that they had a 6-year runway in building AWS and cloud computing, and which is, in technology, 1 year is a lifetime. So having 6 years compared to your competition to get it. So AWS, of course, is now their main money maker. And now I'm hearing from you is advertising is the next thing rather than selling products.
Yep.
So the second thing that I heard you say is advertising is actually dumb. It's nothing too complicated.
Yes, that is correct. At least from a buyer or a seller perspective, it's just basically a dumb auctioning system. It works, it cannot make it really smart. That's because it has to, serve millions of people with millions of transactions per second. So it's just a very quick, I don't know if I should say dumb. It's a very quick read-only auctioning system where for a particular keyword, it chooses the best, keyword and then shows it to the user.
So walk us through how you get the most out of this dumb system.
So you have to understand what parameters goes into it. The first is the contextual of it. So if you're selling, coffee, then put some related keywords to coffee. for your product. So Amazon selects all the keywords for your product, and then it sorts them according to the bid. So the top bid always wins, and this is very critical. But if the bids are the same, if I have bid $1 and you have bid $1 as well, then Amazon sorts it in descending order according to the performance of the seller. So if your performance is better than mine, you are on the top. So
and how do you define performance?
There's a lot of parameters. I think Amazon even shows it in the Seller Central. What is your points? They show it in a point system, actually. You've sold 5 products, your points went up by 3 points. So it's a lot of your seller performance metric. So which they put it as points, but we call it as a seller performance metric. So if your performance has historically been better than mine, then if you have both the same bid, then you will win. But if you bid $1 and I bid $1 1 cent, and it doesn't matter what my performance is, I'm going to win. So it's a very critical thing, right? So money always wins.
So this is a pay-to-play situation.
Yes.
And there is no difference unless bids are equal. You just have to keep bidding higher and higher.
Yeah.
And who determines the bid amount?
So you set up the bid, right? For a particular keyword, you set
I mean, to start with, why not make it 10 cents?
You could. You could, but if someone is bidding 15 cents, they're going to win. You could bid 1 cent as well. The minimum is 5 cents, but you could make it, 10 cents. You could make it $500. I think the minimum is something around $900, the maximum. But you could make the bid whatever you want. Amazon is not going to check for it, right? They have a minimum and maximum. As long as it's within that, there is no one that deciding it. What it does is, for a particular keyword, it takes all the bids, it sorts it out. The top keyword always wins. But if there are 2 sellers with the same bid, then you involve the seller performance metrics.
So you bid the highest, then you're going to show up.
Yes.
And of course, there are those who appear right at the top, sponsored products, right?
Yes.
And then you have others, because Amazon sprinkles a bunch of sponsored products all over the page. So I guess that's the position, right? That's the position you're referring to.
Yes, that's correct.
And the bid determines where you're going to appear.
The bid determines if you're going to win the auction or not. And the basic that I'm trying to say is, imagine it's exactly like buying a house, right? You go to buy a house and then you bid, maybe, I don't know, $300,000, $500,000. I don't know where you can find houses so cheap, but let's assume $1 million. And then you bid $1 million and I bid $1 million. So the agent is going to wait for a second. It's like, I say, if I don't say anything and we both stick at $1 billion, $1 million, then the agent is going to come and say, okay, who has a better banking system? Who has a better, financial record? Who has a better, the record of, with the credit score? So the person with the credit higher score wins, right? Because they trust you more. So it's exactly the same. If we both have the same keyword and I have not bid more, then I win. It's just about a particular ad position.
Mm-hmm. So how important is it to be at the top? Because I have 2 questions. First of all, everybody knows the ones at the top are sponsored. And I tell my clients, just scroll down. Don't look at those.
Yeah.
Wow. But sometimes those that are sprinkled around the middle of the page, they receive more attention because people already scroll down. Plus, there's a habit that anybody I work with, I always tell them, this habit to scroll down as soon as you land on a page, where is that coming from? I say, the last I checked, we read from left to right, and then we see things from top to bottom. So are you telling me you read everything at the top, and now you scroll down and you're looking at the middle? I don't think so. So why are you scrolling down as soon as you land on a page? So that's a user habit, first of all, that I see. Would you agree?
I agree. There's actually also a tiny bit of a reason behind this. It has to do with Amazon. Most people don't trust that the top results are good. There's a huge backlash that there's the reviews are faked. So people want to avoid that fake thing, and then they go down to check what is the genuine product.
So what I was talking about was not necessarily Amazon page. This is on any web page. I see, especially younger people. As soon as they land on a page, they scroll down. So,
Yeah.
so on Amazon, that becomes more detrimental. Of course, you're missing everything at the top. And if you are the
Yeah.
advertisers, things that or ads that you bid big bucks for, nobody
Yeah.
well, people don't get to see.
Yes. Okay. So there are 2 points over here that I would like to make. One is you're right. You don't necessarily have to be on the top, and the reason why you don't have to be top is has less to do with the psychology and more to do with what is your budget like, what is your profit level like, right? And the second point is Amazon is unlike Google PPC. That means if you display this ad, if it's a sponsored brands or sponsored product, not a sponsored display, there is no cost to display it. As long as people don't click on it, you're not paid for anything. So if it appears at the top, no one's clicking for it, it's free. Like why not appear at the top? So you're right. Like don't worry about being the first. Worry about getting money out of the ROI on the ads. So even if you're second or third, but you're making a profit, it's good. Some people, some sellers, what they want to do is they want to have the brand identity out and they want to pay big bucks for it. So for them, it makes sense to be always on the top.
Okay. I mean, I personally end up clicking without realizing because they blended in so nicely somewhere in the middle. But you know what I actually click on the most?
Yeah.
When I land on the product page, because sometimes, you do your search and something comes up and you click on it and maybe that's not the best one. And Amazon has those product ads that are relevant to the product you are selling. In some cases, and I actually see it as the underdog because some brands, they launch their listings, and then they have these sellers who are doing wildly successful. And they want exposure under their listing. So they go list there. But my experience is with people who do that is they don't convert as well as the actual sponsored products.
It depends on the product. So it's kind of called as a competitor targeting. You target your competitor products and then you display your products below the competitors. It depends on the product. Sometimes it could be really good. Sometimes it could be really bad. So you have to pick and choose, what kind of product it is. What is the seasonality? What is your differentiating factor? Why would a person, a buyer, is on a competitor, would choose your ad and then click on it? Is it cheaper? Is it more expensive? Does it look better photos? Is it a better title? Multiple reasons, but you could always convert.
So let's talk about the different types of campaigns, because what you're talking about is bidding, which then determines where you appear. Okay, so now you appear, the goal is for people to click on it. That's what the bid is for. When they click, you get charged. When they click, they land on your product page. At that point, you make a sale or not. That's the real outcome you want. You want to make a sale. So now suddenly some keywords that you bid on don't convert. So how do you manage that whole situation? Because there's hundreds and hundreds of keywords. So what do you do? Do you just pick a handful of keywords and run the campaigns, or do you pick a large number of them? And then what are some best practices that you could recommend?
Okay, so good thing is that best practices, because there is no right answer to this. Usually the way we recommend is choose a handful of keywords, 10 to 20 max, run it on that, saturate the market, and then have some long tail keyword to find out some new market along the way. Ultimately, this again, is a human intelligence. It depends on what you want to do. Do you want to, make money, or do you want to, grow revenues? Do you want to get your brand management out? There is also a way that we recommend that is called what we call as a kind of a piggybacking. You're selling a product, but you're not trying to make money out of the product. You're selling one more product, along with it that you're trying to make money. So in that case, you don't care about how much money you make. So, put as much bid as you want. If you buy for $10 and you're selling it for $10 with zero break even, it's okay, because you have a kind of a customer, acquisition, a brand, management. You have a customer loyalty. You're trying to build all of that. So again, it totally depends on your business goals.
Do you really have customer loyalty on Amazon?
Yes, I mean, for a lot of our products, yes. And we have received emails from people that said, "I'm waiting for your your product to come back on stock. Can you let me know when it is going to be back on stock?" So we do have brand loyalty.
You know what? I've done that myself.
Yeah. Oh, have you? Okay. Who did you send it to?
Well, it was actually, so what happened was I bought in the old days we had VHS tapes for video.
Yeah.
So I bought a multi-system VHS tape.
Yeah.
VHS recorder.
Yeah.
So I was moving, so it broke during my move. So I have like 300 VHS tapes.
Yeah.
All has stuff on it. So somebody said to me, why don't you get them converted to digital? Yeah. So I did the check, and so my recorder broke, and I got these tapes. What do I do? And wherever I move, I take them with me. So they're biggest part of the movie stuff. So I checked it out. There's no way I can pick one or two. It was going to cost me like $5,000.
Yeah.
So I go online. You know what? Forget it. So I go online. I check how much I had paid. It cost me $200.
Yeah.
So I go back to and I look at other ones. It's not the same thing, or they are much more expensive. So I actually emailed the guy who was currently unavailable, and I said, I bought this from you, and you don't seem to have it. When is it going to be in stock next? And so he tells me, oh, it will be available in a few days.
Gotcha.
So sure enough, it came out. I put it in my cart, of course. It's saved it in the cart. So as soon as it became available, I bought it.
Yeah.
So that was the occasion for me. So I can see that happening. But that was because nobody else had it. And this guy is someone that I had bought from very affordably. Are there any other situations where you have such loyalty?
Sure. So what for you is a necessity. No one else is selling the product. So we have situations, like where one of them is kind of called as an organic detergent, which does not, harm your skin, which does not, give out dangerous smells. It's called as an organic, detergent. A lot of them also come from China. And what our brand did is they work with the Himalayan Cooperative Society for the women. And these women, they are usually in domestic violence and they're trying to get out of it. So they work in these places and they build this, organic detergent. It gives them a kind of a financial independence. So we put that story inside all of our organic detergent and says, hey, you bought this, you help this woman because this woman packed. And we put up, a profile of that woman and everything. So a lot of people really loved it. And whenever they buy this, they look for our special detergent and they say, hey, you know what? I felt good. I just paid $20. Is better than the detergent that I use. And I'm helping a real person out. So when we went out of stock, because, the COVID lockdown, Nepal is really landlocked. So they had a really severe lockdown. So they got in touch with us. I'm waiting for your stock to come back. I don't want to buy any other brand. Even if it's a few months, I'm willing to wait. Just let me know, when I'll get it. So
So you touched something actually I always recommend with my clients is a package insert, right? So you talk about a package insert. So for the benefit of the listeners, so what I typically recommend is package insert with meaningful information is extremely valuable to build that loyalty that you mentioned. Also on that same piece of, it has to be very well designed, fairly sophisticated look. And at the same time, you can include your request for feedback without saying, we want 5 or whatever. Just say, we want your honest feedback. Please leave your feedback. And the other thing that I always recommend is include a returning customer coupon. So that's something that I always say, because they made a purchase, we appreciate and here is a coupon code for you, which will give you 15% off on all our products on Amazon.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah. So that way,
I like that.
Yeah, you're building. It's I call it returning customer discount.
Got it.
Returning customer coupon.
Got it.
So that way, and also you can track how many people are claiming it. And I put an expiration date on it.
Yeah.
So I don't put a minimum order value, but I put an expiration date. So they have the incentive to use it sooner rather than later.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about AI. How does AI factor into Amazon advertising?
Gotcha. So I think we just finished the scientific research and development for Canada to get a grant. So yeah, I mean, I can talk for hours for this. So what we do is we actually we generate a keyword for each product. So if there's a product, then we generate what is the most strongest keyword for it. And then for each keyword, we have a historical history of it, how it performed, what was the historical performance, what is the seasonality, weekly, daily, depending on Mother's Day, Father's Day, what is it during Prime Day. So we have different, functionality for it. And then we forecast this, for the future. So whenever you come up with a new product, we generate the keyword for it. And then we use the keyword to look up, and we know exactly how much you're going to sell, where you're going to sell, what location you're going to sell, what days you're going to sell. So based on that, we bid up and down. Within a day, like if you know that your bid is going to be, bid is best if it's 65 cents, then we raise the bid to 65 cents at 2 p.m. If you think you're not going to sell more in the evening, then we bring it down to 35 cents in the evening.
So, okay, I want to dissect everything you said.
Yeah.
So we generate a keyword. How do you generate that keyword?
With the text. So if you give a complete product, like the complete description, the complete bullet point, and complete title, we read with Amazon API. And based on the text, what our AI does is it generates the strongest keyword for it. So if you send me, a product that talks about, for example, there's one called as a kicking horse coffee, right? And they talk about all the coffee, how much caffeine it has, blah, 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 etc. So we read the whole text and we generate the strongest keyword for this is called as dark roasted coffee, right? So that's the keyword it generated. Now we already know everything about this dark roasted coffee. So we know this keyword, we know how much it sells, what location it sells. It sells in Chicago, it sells in New York. Texans don't like coffee, for example. I don't know if it's true. So stuff like that. And based on that,
this is where the order is coming from.
Yes, we see the order is coming from for dark roast coffee.
And where are you getting that data?
We have around 3,000 sellers, that sell everything, and then our AI constantly learns about all the orders, all the keywords. So keywords are generated for all of the product, and then we generate the forecast.
So, but wait a minute, you are now revealing something, because I had a guest, and I asked what if he could wish for one thing for Amazon, what would that be? For Amazon to provide, and he said transparency is the best thing, and we would want to know what keywords are producing what order volumes. You're telling me you have that data?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get it in multiple ways.
Where do you get it?
You can get in multiple ways. Well, one is known as a brand analytics. You can look up in brand analytics and you can get for each keyword what is the performance. The second is when you make an ad, right, and you put your keywords inside it. You put 20 keywords inside it. So for each seller, for each campaign, we know what keyword and how it performed for a particular bid, right? And apart from that, Amazon also gives us suggestions or recommendations. So it says, okay, for this product, use this recommendation, and this is the bid. And lastly, the fourth one, there is something known as a theme-based bidding. So Amazon tells you, if your keyword is dark roast coffee and you put a bid of $1, you will get a guaranteed of 3 sales. It's called as a theme-based bidding. It's really extraordinarily powerful. It's an API. So based on a combination of all of it, you can get the information. There is no way that, you can't get the information out. Amazon does provide it, not, directly, but in different ways, APIs, recommendations.
Okay, so when you say you can get the data, the seller can get the data through their brand analytics.
Yes.
But you provide the service, right? So how do you get it?
So because we have 3,000 sellers and they all connect on our platform, right?
So you're using the seller's data and then you consolidate, and that gives you a library of performance data.
Yeah. So it's called as a wisdom of crowds. So what happens is we don't take the seller's data as such, but we learn from the seller's data, and then we help them directly. So if a seller comes in, because each seller is selling their own product, right? If you have been selling dark roast coffee, you're always been selling dark roast coffee. So we read your past historical data, and then we make a forecast based on that.
I see. Okay. So you get your system to generate a set of keywords based on the product description. And then you know from those keywords, based on what your library tells you, what kind of performance you can expect. And the performance we're talking about is not necessarily how much you can generate, but when to advertise, the best time to advertise, the best locations to advertise, things like that.
Yeah, that is correct.
And that's what the AI does for you.
Yes, that is correct. There's a caveat here about the location. You cannot use location in Amazon ads. That's why we have a specialization for Amazon DSP, where you can use the location.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Location online could be anywhere. They could be using a proxy server. They could be doing anything. So but nevertheless, if you're getting orders, I mean, the time of the day is key. I mean, that's a big deal because you could be cutting your budget quite a bit. By simply increasing your efficiency. So so that's another controversial subject. So let's say that you know that most of the orders come between, let's say, 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. Of course, it's always 6 p.m. somewhere. But so you could plan it around the entire time zones. And there are some time frames that, it's worthless advertising. So do you switch off the campaign or what do you do? Because if you switch off, that also has a price tag, right? When you turn it back on. So give us some of your best practice recommendations.
So, we must also avoid it being a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what you do is, like what some people do is they just switch off the campaigns. They say, okay, it does not work from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So I'll switch it off. And because I switch it off, it doesn't work. And because it doesn't work, they switch it off. So it becomes a kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. We try to avoid it because we already have 1 year of constant data, more than 1 year. And we know that things are slightly slower at 8 to 10. And we have some kind of a unique algorithm that also has a wild card. So we usually lower the bid, but every once in a while, every few minutes, we increase the bid to test so that we're not spending too much money to test. And as more and more time passes, we are absolutely sure that 8 to 10 a.m. is not a good time to sell. Of course, the most important point is 8 a.m. It's always 8 a.m. somewhere. So here is where location data comes in. So if it's 8 a.m. in New York, then we show those ads at high bid at 8 a.m. in New York. If it's 8 a.m. in San Francisco, then we show just in San Francisco at 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Of course, just with Amazon DSP. So there are multiple ways to play it. It's impossible for humans to do it. You cannot wake up and go through all of your campaign at 8 a.m. New York time and say, okay, I'll change the bid. And then 1 hour is Texas, I'll change the bid. That's where automation is really, really the king.
So what you are saying is do not turn off campaigns, just adjust your bid. And if you don't believe you're going to get orders during a particular time frame, just reduce your bid.
That is correct. Yeah.
And then increase it. Yeah, I mean, of course. And also this could be a moving target, right?
Yes. The secret that we kind of use is known as the bid boost. We try to increase and reduce the bid boost according to the what we call as the automated day parting. So we use bid boost for upping and downing the bids.
I see. So as far as you talked about package insert and our product. So are you currently also selling on Amazon as a seller, or are you just providing the PPC management aspect of it?
Oh well, there's a deep background to our stuff. So we sell actually. We started off primarily as a seller. We are one of the top sellers in all the countries. We still do sell, but we try not to make a profit. All of it is used for some kind of a getting data, testing out different of our product. If a PPC feature is launched, it's very risky to just release it to the sellers, right? So we test it on our account first. We test it for 1 or 2 months. The unit testers test it, then there's a user acceptance test, and they think, okay, this is safe to release, and then we release it to everyone. So it's a way for us to spend that money. Apart from PPC, we also focus on kind of a third-party logistics. If you need a warehouse anywhere in the US, Because we know where you're going to sell, we'll put you at the right warehouse. So you're saving time, money on shipping.
Also, you are a matchmaker.
Not really a matchmaker, because we work very closely with that warehouses. And sometimes we lease those warehouses. We are paying for the space. So it's directly our warehouse.
I see. So, and of course, these days, there is a new model. So I'm seeing that a lot of this is not so new for the Chinese companies, but from other countries, I'm seeing this major manufacturer who have successful brands in their own country. They are getting into the US market to sell on Amazon US marketplace. And of course, they have to work with a 3PL so that they could ship the container, and then they set up their own LLC that imports it and then puts it in 3PL, and then the 3PL sends out the FBA shipment. So that's the model that is starting to become, if it's not already popular, it's starting to become popular by other countries, manufacturers in other countries. Do you see that?
Yes, absolutely. And that's the reason why we are our secondary business is on this 3PL. It's something we are well positioned with, because we know we have the knowledge. If a manufacturer wants to come from Germany to US, and they're selling something, we can tell them exactly, where the customers are. In a percentage point, we can say 60% in New York, 30% in Texas, 20% in Florida, none in California. So it's best to put your warehouse somewhere between Florida and New York, maybe New Jersey.
So most of my clients use 3PL. Some, of course, large enough to have their own, and some who want to be clients need 3PL. And what I'm told is most 3PLs around the country, they say, okay, how many orders do you want us to ship? How many orders? So, and when you tell them this is a startup, it's going to just start, they're not interested. You need to have So is that the case in your experience, the 3PL that you work with, do they have these minimums, and what are they?
So it's a combination of both. We work with some 3PLs. We also own some 3PLs. My general trend is I want to be exactly like Amazon. I don't care if you're shipping one a month. Just click, and then you have a place to ship. You have a place to put your product. It's funny that you talk about it. Some of the new brands that want to launch, there is no one to talk to them. There is no one to help to them. There is no one, there is no help. And this is where we are also trying to position ourselves, that if you need help, if you need, some of this 3PL, we are over here. We're also giving you this, the AI analytics and forecast that will tell you where to put the 3PL. Our ultimate objective that we're trying to do is, in all the metros, we want to have 1 hour shipping. We want to beat Amazon, in 1 hour shipping. So if you put it in our 3PL, we can ship to your customers within 1 hour. Amazon gives you 24 hours. We'll do it within 1 hour. That's what we are trying to achieve.
But then you're not going to be in Prime.
Yes, you're not going to be in Prime. Yeah, of course. So you're going to be FBM.
Yeah, we don't. Right. I discourage people to do FBM.
It depends, actually. Of course, it's not a good idea in most of the cases, but in a tiny percentage of cases, FBM really matters, especially brands that want to own.
Yeah. So this is true then. 3PLs require a minimum amount of business before they handle you. So there is nobody who will take a startup and work with you. Are you familiar with any like that or not?
We do work with startups. I'm happy to take some recommendations if you want to send across. We are very startup friendly. We work with plenty of startups actually here in Canada as well. As long as they are reasonable and they think we are reasonable, we work it out. We give them a space. We even fulfill the Shopify WooCommerce orders. Everything is automated. But once they put this stuff into a warehouse, we handle everything else.
Okay, so this is something that you may get calls for, because I work with, like I said, I work with all different kinds of companies, and I'm getting the question, I talk to do you know any 3PL companies, because they want minimum volume, and we don't have anything yet. So so there is still hope for them, because it becomes chicken and egg. You need 3PL.
Yes.
But in order to get to 3PL, you need volume, but you can't do volume until you have your fulfillment problems also.
Yes. I'm very well aware of it. It's something that we came across multiple times. And it's also the reason why we're kind of, going into this 3PL space is because we want to help the sellers. As soon as we jump in, we want to make it, in a few minutes, click, you have access to 3PL. So you click on it, you connect to your, Amazon or your Shopify, your WooCommerce, you have access to 3PL. We read your historical data, or you give us your, your product description, we tell you where to place it. So that you're shipping to your customers within 1 day from your Shopify, from your WooCommerce, from your Amazon FBM, anywhere.
Okay. So now at the beginning, when we started, you said advertising is a dumb system.
Yeah.
But then you'd start talking about we generate keywords, we look at historical data, and then so it really is not dumb, is it? I mean, it's there is a lot that goes into it. So what part of it is dumb?
So the part of that is dumb is the Amazon advertising system or any advertising system. How ads work. I've been in the tech part of ads, as in programming, coding, creating the software for ads. It's basically an auction system. Think of it exactly like what I mentioned before of going to buy a house, right? It's not a very complex system when auctions happen. I don't know if there's auctions in US, but we have it in Canada. There's a huge in Australia. You just go stand around, and you bid how much you want for the house. It's not a very complex system, right? You just say what the bid that you want to do. And the broker is like, okay, sold to that person. He made the highest bid. Ads are exactly like that. You have a certain keyword, you put a bid for it. If the Amazon thinks, your bid is the highest, it'll select you and then show you an ad. It'll keep on showing you an ad until you're out of budget.
Yeah. So you know what I say when people ask, okay, how much is it going to cost and what is the bid and blah, blah. My response is always the same. And I'm not going to take credit for it, coming up with the concept, but I'll take credit for using it.
Okay.
So it comes from a movie I saw. I love movies. And there's a movie called Lenski.
Yeah.
So it's about Mayor Lenski. Are you familiar with Mayor Lenski?
Not really. Yeah, tell me about it.
Mayor Lenski was the man who ran the finances of the mafia.
Okay.
He would tell them where to invest their money, how to spend the money, and all that stuff. So this is going way back before Cuba had the revolution. So one day, all the mob bosses, they're having a meeting. And Lenski is there. He was always at the meeting because he was the guy who gave the truth and gave good recommendation. So he says that we need to set up a club in Havana.
Yeah.
And one of them says, Havana, we don't know anybody in Havana. What do you think? What makes you think that we should do that? And so he explains why Havana is important. And then another one says, do you know how much that's going to cost? And Lenski just sits back, says, never ask what something is going to cost. Ask what it's going to make.
Absolutely. I agree.
That's the essence of bidding. So bidding can go $10. I believe maximum is $900. So you can bid the full $900. If it's going to be $9,000, you don't mind, right?
Yes, for sure.
That's where the challenge of PPC is.
Yes.
It's knowing and staying on top of it and modulating these bids based on time of the day, your performance, this keyword, turn that off, turn this off, turn that on, leave it on. Things like that. And that's what makes it complicated, right?
Yeah, for sure. Is the business around it. So absolutely, you're right. And I say the same to all my customers is don't worry about how much you're spending, budget it and see if you're going to make money out of it. Everything is about making money, right? Is it within your ROI? So that's a good code, actually. Don't worry about how much it's going to cost.
Yeah. So how the other way that people, just to get the full perspective. So there's these different terms. There is ACOS and TACOS and ROI. And then let's get into that. And what's the best way? And then if you can, let's try to get some benchmarks around it. So what are some of those metrics? Explain them to us.
So ad cost is how much you're spending on ads and how much you're making on ads. So let's assume you're spending $100 on ad and you're making $200 in revenue. Then
What does ACOS stand for? Give us that.
Advertising cost. So what is your advertising cost?
Advertising cost of sale, right?
Yeah. We just call it advertising cost.
In your advertising, you spend, let's say, in a month, $10,000.
Yeah.
From those advertising, when people click those ads, you have orders. And so if ACOS is 20%, that means $10,000 spent.
Yeah.
You generated $50,000 in sales from those ads.
Yeah.
But that is not your total sales, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where TACOS comes in, right?
Yeah. So TACOS, there's a different names for it. Informally, like it could be anything, but TACOS is I like the name because I like TACOS as well. So TACOS is the psychology behind TACOS is a lot of the buyers, they look at your ads and they don't immediately buy it. A few days later, when they look at your product organically, they buy it. So ads are subconsciously, they affect your buying process. So it is right, it's very hard to pinpoint that a buyer bought it just because they looked at the product. Maybe they looked at it subconsciously a few days back on the ads. So instead of making 50,000 with ads, let's assume you're making 100,000, organically as well as with ads, and you've spent 10,000. Then your TACOS is 10%, but your ACOS is 20%. Right?
Yeah.
We always say focus on your TACOS, not on your ACOS.
Exactly, because also every paid click brings organic click, right?
Yes.
X number of organic clicks. Not to mention every paid click that ends up converting will get your rank up, and
absolutely
you'll start. So this is where I was talking to another guest. If you hit a website and you're selling on your website, and then you run a Google campaign to drive your website, people come and buy, and then once you turn off the Google campaign, your sales dry up, right?
Yes.
But that's not the case with Amazon.
Yes.
So being on Amazon first and then advertising on Amazon next, those things have residual value going forward because it helps you rank up. Of course, taking this to another level is advertise on Google your Amazon listings. So now that's a whole different ballgame, which also rewards you for bringing external traffic, right?
Yes, it's a new thing.
So talk to us about that new thing. How does that work? What are the benefits?
I don't know of the benefit, it has not been tested fully. We tested just with a very, very, limited amount of clients. That is, they offer some kind of a refund if a customer is, external to it. They kind of call it as an Amazon attribution. So if you bring in an external, via Facebook or Instagram or any stuff like that, then that's a bit of, the Amazon fees is kind of reduced. We don't work, really a lot on this because for most of our brands, advertising on Amazon itself is a huge, huge challenge. And once you're done for it, then, you need to go into Shopify, you need to go into WooCommerce, you need to advertise off Amazon. Our strong recommendation is don't start off, with off Amazon recommendation, especially Google. The reason is also there is something known as, if 100 people come to your product, you need certain percentage. 100 people come to your product. And if 20 people buy, then that means the product is really good. The certain percentage is good. But if you put it in Google Ads and you're bringing traffic that is garbage, so if 100 people come to you, on your page and only one person is buying, then your init certain percentage drops. So your product ranking will also drop. So you have to be very careful of bringing in external traffic. And that's why we don't recommend, for new people to start bringing in external traffic.
So you just mentioned something I'm always interested in. Conversion.
Yes.
So tell me about conversion. How do you track conversion? What is the best way to track conversion? And what does it tell you? What do you do?
So there are two kinds of conversion. One is the ads conversion, which we are talking about, which is, we expect it to be at least 12% is good. Anything about 12% is good. We have sellers that have, 20%, 25%, which is really, really amazing.
So that means $100 you spend you get $1,200.
It's not a monetary value. So let's assume 100 people click on your ad.
Oh, that's click through. So is this click through rate or is this sale?
Conversion rate is below that. So click through rate is, let's assume 1,000 people watch your ad, right? Out of which 100 people click on your ad. So the click through rate is 100 out of 1,000, right? Which is around 10%, which is usually never the case. The click through rate is around 0.3 to 1%. So out of 100 people that watch your ad, 1% will click on the ad, right? So the click through rate is 1%. But let's assume 100 people click on your ad, and out of which 20 people buy your product, right? So they landed on your product, they saw the product, and out of 100 people that landed on your product, 20 people bought the product. So the conversion rate is 20%.
Yeah. So when you say 12% conversion on advertising,
yes,
out of the 100 click-throughs,
yes,
12 of them bought. That's what.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that means 12% of the 1%.
Yes.
Yes. You need a lot of clicks, right?
It's not about clicks, so impressions. So it starts with impression. There are 1,000 impressions, right? Out of these 1,000 impressions, 100 people click on it. So the click-through rate is 1%.
Yeah.
Out of the 100 people that clicked, 12 people buy it. So the conversion rate is 12.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I understand. So, but I mean, it's basically bottom line. It's 1%, 12% of the 1%.
Yes. Yeah. It's unfortunately that's how funnels work. So you have to start with impression.
There has to be a strategy that is not just so narrow. It has to be wide enough because you need this across so many keywords so that you get those 1% add up. Okay. All right. So this is obviously extremely tedious. So talk about the makeup of a team with clients that you work. What are the roles and who assumes the responsibility for the PPC aspect of it?
So it's a whole team, it starts with video editor, it starts with image editors, listing content creator. There's a different team for listing creation. There's one point of contact, is a senior specialist who talks to the client, understands what their business are. There's a whole team required. If a company is really huge, they have this in-house. If you don't have it in-house, we always recommend get an agency to do all of it. We also work on a purely commission basis where we don't charge you anything, and we only charge you the extra money that we make you. So if you're always been making $100, then we'll get you from $100 to $200, and we'll charge you a percentage of the extra $100. So we were so confident in how which we work. So you can get agencies like that. For most sellers, please focus on your business. Don't spend your mind thinking about keyword, twisting the campaign, twisting the page. Those are not the work that you should be doing. Outsource it.
So, but your recommendation is outsource PPC because it's too complex. So it's tedious, too many moving parts, a lot of data handling, and this is not really for conventional person. You cannot add as much value to your business as you would put your time into better things to grow product portfolio and things like that. I understand. So tell me about what you would wish for Amazon to change in their policies for third-party sellers.
Well, I wish they would give us FBM seller prime, seller fulfilled prime. That is really our wish list. Apart from that, we want a streaming data, which they're going to release. They just released the news. We are, one of the first few agencies to have streaming data, API access. We're going to have streaming data on our platform. Apart from that, I think that they're making really, really rapid progress when it comes to ads. And it's something you have to keep an eye on it, that their ads is going to be the bread and butter very soon. They have DSP, they have Amazon ads. They are really, really going forward on ads.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. So, I said chess players. So I play chess. I'm especially interested because it takes a different kind of mind to chess. So where are you based and what are some of your passions and how do you spend your time outside work?
So mostly I play chess. I go to some of the I've started going to some of the chess clubs here in Toronto. I started playing, chess. I played chess actually even on a professional level in the US. So I played for New Jersey, I played for New York, then I went to Connecticut to compete in some of the tournaments. It's interesting, but there's not enough money in chess. It's a very, very competitive, underfunded sport. Primarily because most of the people don't think it's entertaining. There's 3 people sitting on a board and 2 people sitting on a board, and then thinking about a move for hours. It cannot be exciting.
Do you get angry when you lose?
Not really. It's a part of the. Of course, you can never get angry when you lose. You have to improve on it. It's the same that comes on Amazon. Don't worry if you lose. You paid. If you lose your ads, learn from it. You only lost if you lost the lesson.
You know what really gets me angry?
Yeah.
When people turn chess into backgammon, it's all about taking pieces.
Yeah. Okay.
It just drives me nuts because you can see it right away, right from the get-go. They immediately, take your queen. They sacrifice their queen. It serves no purpose. And then before you know, you got like 3-4 pieces left on the board. What is this? I mean, this is, you want to play backgammon, go play backgammon.
Yeah, there are ways around it. If you arrange your pawns and if you're thinking of the end game, you can beat them in end game. A win is a win.
Yeah. I mean, I like the quality rather than just getting the win. But anyway, so where do you think all this comes from? I mean, you are in a complex business with AI since the beginning. So where did this come from?
I've been selling on my own, and we built this platform in-house to help us out. It was supposed to be a dashboard that showed us, it's really hard to get the real profit from Amazon. Amazon shows you all the sales, how much money you made, but it's very hard to say how much you really spent on what. So we tried to build the dashboard for ourselves. And then, we implemented a lot of forecasting method to see how much we'll make in the future. So we can tell our, suppliers, hey, what, we're expecting 1,000 in the future. Can you ship it up? And then we said, okay, let's apply this forecasting to our ads. And then we had a really good run with the ads. And some of our seller friends, they got said, can I use your platform as well? And I said, sure, pay us a bit of the commission and we can use. And then from there, we took off.
But I mean, why did you start? I mean, you could have done anything else. So where is this coming from?
It's e-commerce. We've been in e-commerce for such a long time. And we think.
But why were you in e-commerce in the first place?
Oh, because I started off with IBM. It's just a coincidence that I was in IBM retail. IBM used to, sell computer parts a long time back before they sold it off to Lenovo. At the time, I used to lead a team that would forecast, how many computer parts have to be shipped to a particular location for it to make a profit. I learned a lot doing that. And after that, I moved to eBay. eBay also, we did a lot on retail. So this is something kind of my professional background. So I decided to keep it up.
So why did you get into IBM in the first place? Why not become a painter?
Oh, wow. Computers is something I like, it's something I love. It's a passion, I'm really bad at painting. If you see my painting, you'll know why I chose computers.
So, I mean, why be passionate about the technical stuff? Where is that coming from?
It's our future, somehow I think tech drives the world, even if you're a painter, there is a huge aspect of our tech driving it. People use this pressure tablets and vacuum tablets and everything. So tech is kind of the backbone of our entire system right now. And I think.
Yeah, of course. I mean, now you are a grown up. What I'm saying is, so in my business group, we have a methodology when we are coaching somebody about presenting the difficult subject. We ask the question why 7 times.
Okay.
And it's not like why. It's why this, why, and then as you dig further and further, you get down to the root cause. So in your case, and 99.99% of the time, it goes back to the childhood. So you obviously, got into IBM because technical. So something somewhere must have happened for you to become interested in tech in its most primitive form at the time, because you must have been very small. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, It's, coincidentally, it's, I don't usually talk about it. I was studying to be a doctor. So I was, going to, studying for the medical exams, doing the doctorship. Wanted to be in a kind of a brain, neurosurgeon, stuff like that. And then computers were becoming really, really big. And the internet was also being kind of formed. It was the initial stages of the internet. And I thought to myself, this is going to change much more lives, than being a doctor. With doctor, you're working with one person at a time. But if you're working with tech, it's at the time I was just barely in school. I was like, okay, this is going to make a huge effect. And at the time, I had the misconception that if you ask a computer, it knows the answer to everything, even that what humans don't know. So it's like, okay, I need to get into this. I'll have the answer to everything, about life and everything. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. But that's where I stuck.
I see. So tech was your second choice.
Yeah, initially, and then tech became my first choice. And I was like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I can understand. So wanting to be a doctor, where did that come from?
It's more of a societal and a parental, and a familial pressure, because most of my family are doctors. It eventually is like, okay, this guy is going to be a doctor as well. It's a different culture, Yeah.
So I mean, I understand you want to be doctor, lawyer, engineer. It's always the society imposes. You rebelled against it, right? You rebelled against it at the end.
Yes. Yeah. At some point, I said, you know what? I'm not going to do doctor because I'm not really good at it as well. I didn't clear the exams, fortunately or unfortunately. And then, like I said, okay, computers is something I really do. And I cleared some of the exams for computer. And then we decided to stick on it.
So perhaps, you didn't. So how did your parents feel about you walking away from becoming a doctor?
They didn't mind at all. They're pretty chill. So
did you feel that you had to justify to them, your choice was a better one? Did you try to always demonstrate this was the right thing?
Not really. I think my parents trusted whatever decision I took. So they didn't really, care that they didn't even question, there was not even one time they brought up a question, why did you take up it? It's working out well. Yeah, it works out well.
Well, I had the reverse story, not me myself, but my mother.
Yeah.
My mother actually, same social pressure. She registered in law school. She was going to law school, but she did not want to be a lawyer. She knew right away. And wanted to be a doctor. And then she actually secretly switched to medical school. Now, ironically, she wanted me to be a doctor. And I totally rebelled. I had no interest. I did not like blood anyway. My father didn't want me to be a doctor because he said, oh, doctors are not treated very well and blah, blah. So, and I chose computer science, electronics, communications, computers. So, and then, these things kind of make you who you are and give you interest. So, I always am interested. So tell us how people can reach you and give us your contact information. We'll obviously put this on the website as well. When your episode is published on YouTube, it will be there. But give us your contact information and how people can connect with you.
Yeah, sure. So my website is aihello.com. It's aihello.com. It's pretty simple. You can reach me on my email, ganesh@aihello.com, or you could just do a live chat and ask them to transfer to Ganesh. I'm usually on live chat once a day. I try to log in the morning. So if I see a message, I'll respond to it. Or you can drop us a message in the support and say, can you forward this to Ganesh, and it'll come to me directly.
Yeah. And you are also on LinkedIn, I assume, right?
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn as well. Yeah.
Well, that's great, Ganesh. You gave us some of the things that we knew, but totally different perspective, a different way to approach.
Yeah.
So you shared some very valuable tips. So in that sense, thank you very much. I'm sure everybody will appreciate and everybody who's listening, put it in action. So use what you learned. So thank you, Ganesh. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick. Yeah. Talk to you later.
That brings us to the end of another episode, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Be sure and subscribe, rate, and review our show. And be sure and share an episode with a friend. And thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you next week here on Amazon Legends.